There is something about Pakistan. Something magical. There is something about its peaks. The lakes. The valleys. The deserts, the golden beaches. And the exotic cuisine. It is a land rich in history. Standing tall and proud, the remnants of ancient glory serve as reminders of where we came from. In the home of centuries-old civilizations, where natural and man-made wonders are plenty, there's a touch of warmth everywhere you go. The culture befriends every soul, makes you feel at home. At every step it is not a place short of hospitality, not a place far from home. It is a place of love and acceptance, of embracing our differences and celebrating our love. With the government's keen focus on expanding its tourism and hospitality sector, it has made visiting and investing in Pakistan all the more easier. Salam, Pakistan, for travelers' perspective. Presents to you travelers who have traveled from Sweden and from the rest of Europe to Pakistan to explore its beauty. This year's Salam Pakistan event will be digital. Experience with your whole family the beauty of yours, Pakistan.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here on behalf of Pakistan Information and Cultural Society, PICS. Founded in 2016, PICS envisions bringing the vast but disconnected Pakistani community from different backgrounds in Sweden together through a common platform. PICS is a non-profit organization, and our mission is to promote Pakistani culture and the Urdu language, and to keep the Pakistani culture alive. PICS is an initiative of Pakistani expatriates to advance social and cultural activities of Pakistanis in Sweden. Up to this day, we have garnered ardent followers and readers of our blogs, as well as continuous engagement from Pakistani famous personalities. Throughout the year, events are held by PICS such as talks, buffet dinners, mushairas, and many cultural events. One notable event, which is our biggest one, is Salam Pakistan, which has been held annually in Stockholm since 2017. Following the successes of the previous 3 events, we now bring back Salam Pakistan this year. Every year, we have a different theme, and our theme this year is Travelers' Perspectives, where we will listen to several experiences and perspectives from various travelers from Sweden and other European countries who have first-hand experienced Pakistan's beauty. Pakistan is a growing tourist destination, and with the pristine beaches, mountains, deserts, and waterfalls, there is so much to explore. The rich culture and history, which is paired with excellent food, also attracts travelers from all over the world. They say that once you have been to Pakistan, once is never enough. I would like to welcome President of Salam Pakistan's event from our organization PICS, Mr. Shahzad Ansari. Sir, please share some word with us.
Thank you, Asher. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Shahzad Ansari, and together with my team, we launched our non-profit organization back in 2016. Apart from what Asher mentioned earlier about PICS, we achieved a powerful social media both on Facebook and YouTube to exhibit and promote the best image of Pakistan. And we achieved in integrating through that both Swedish and Pakistani aspects. As you all know, trees grows best in well-drained loose soil. Loose so that water and air can reach to the roots so that the tree can grow strong. So we believe PICS act like a soil in Sweden. Our vision is to promote the positive image of Pakistan. Since 4 years, we have been promoting culture, art, Urdu literature, Pakistani cinemas, artists. Um, we have managed to establish a very powerful social media to give exposure to Pakistan in Sweden. We have shared our soil with Pakistani artists to grow in Sweden. Many organizations. We have helped many Swedish Pakistani businesses to promote Pakistani market in Sweden. Um, yeah, there is a lot of things. You can follow us on our Facebook page and our website, so you can find all activities there. So I will not take much of your time because I know people get bored in long speeches. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Shahzad, for giving us this platform which help us outshine our skills as a volunteer. Now let's welcome Mr. Mohsin Saleemi, Chairman of Pakistan Sweden Business Council, PSBC. Welcome, sir.
Hello, Assalamu alaikum to everyone. So my name is Mohsin Saleemi and I'm a part of Pakistan Sweden Business Council. And first of all, thank you for the PICS team for inviting Pakistan Sweden Business Council on this event, where we can elaborate a bit about our projects in the tourism, especially sustainable tourism. And after that, I will also highly thankful to all the participants who are sharing their perspectives for the traveler perspective who have traveled in Pakistan. And I will just briefly introduce what PSBC is. PSBC is actually an organization who is helping both in Sweden and Pakistan to do this bilateral trade and also increase the business opportunities. We're also helping the communities for building up the knowledge transfer, the education, and also promoting the young entrepreneurs from the both sides. So the purpose of this event is tourism, so we'll focus on that only. So as I said that we're working on sustainable tourism. Sustainable tourism is one of the chapters we're really focusing since last year, where we actually trying to introduce the sustainable development goals at the local level, where we're trying to empower people with this education, and they know that they should prepare or align their businesses according to. So, for example, last year with the help of some local tourist providers, we had been collaborating like with Odiana Travels and Untamed Borders, where we have delivered 2 workshops in Salam with local business owners and local travel guides, where we have introduced them some kind of knowledge about how to drive a business according to SDG requirements, and how we can learn from the other societies who have developed these norms already in their states. So that was a very successful event. We had a follow-up webinars on that as well last year, so we are going to follow up in this 2021 as well, so stay tuned for that. And besides this, I will say this event, it's very amazing to see. We have travelers around the world who have their perspective to share with us. It's very well organized. I will also congratulate the team PICS for doing it. It's a very nice event, and I think this is one of the key things to brand Pakistan by those travel perspectives, because this is how we gain this trust back in the society by listening from those travelers' perspective. So I would just say a few words about Pakistan beauty or the tourism. Honestly, it is one of the best countries to travel, from mountains to down to the deserts, and also to the beaches. Pakistan is one of rich in culture, food, and infrastructure. So we are growing. More than 60% of the population is young. They are enthusiastic, they have energy, they have talent. So what I just recommend you to just go visit and experience. So if you planning to go visit, so please let us know. We can try to arrange some if you need anything help or something. So besides that, I would at the last I would say that thank you so much, PICS team and all the organizers for this event.
Thank you, Mr. Mohsin, for sharing your words. Now let us welcome His Excellency Ambassador of Pakistan for the Kingdom of Sweden and the Republic of Finland, Mr. Zahoor Ahmed.
Assalamu alaikum. It's a great pleasure to welcome all of you here today at Salam, Pakistan, a special event on which we will take you on an exciting journey of Pakistan virtually. We are also pleased to welcome two of our special speakers from Pakistan today, the Governor of the largest province of Pakistan, Chaudhry Mohammad Sarwar, who is also a former MP of the British Parliament, and Sayyid Zulfi Bukhari, the Prime Minister of Pakistan's Special Advisor on Tourism. We are grateful to both of them for taking their time out and talking about Pakistan. We are also grateful to the many speakers which we are having here today who are visitors from various walks of life from Sweden and elsewhere and who have visited Pakistan and will talk about their experiences today. Pakistan is a country of great natural beauty, cultural diversity, and hospitality. Pakistan is almost twice the size of Sweden in terms of area, but it is a country home to 220 million people. We are a young nation, young in the sense that we were born only in 1947, but also young in the sense that more than 65% of our population is under 35 years of age, and they are the backbone of our developing economy. We are an ancient civilization because we are home to the 5,000-year-old Gandhara Indus civilization, which flourished in the great cities of Manjadhara, which is located near Karachi, and Harappa, which is located near Lahore. We are also home to the Gandhara civilization, which flourished 2000 years ago and was the greatest Buddhist kingdom of all time. And today, some of the greatest Buddhist heritage sites are located near Taxila, which is just an hour's drive from Islamabad, our capital. We are also a country of great natural beauty. On the south side, we have the great shores of Arabian Sea in the province of Balochistan and Sindh, where you can also see the great city of Karachi, which has about 20 million population and which is a flourishing trade center. We also have vast and majestic deserts. We have great and exciting mountaineering possibilities. 5 of the greatest, highest mountains of the 14 highest mountains of the world are located in Pakistan, including K2, which is the second highest mountain of the world. We also have great cultural diversity. On the south shore, in the provinces of Balochistan and Sindh, you can find people who are called Shidis and who trace their origin to African slaves who got freed from the ships and they settled hundreds of years ago in this land. On the north side, we have people who trace their origin to the Greek warriors who came with Alexander the Great. Pakistan has something to offer to everybody, whether you are interested in archaeology or history, culture or cuisine, natural beauty or golf or any kind of sport. Pakistan is the place for you to go. I look forward to welcoming all of you to Pakistan as we are looking towards the end of the pandemic, and hopefully we will out of the grip of this pandemic soon. I hope that you plan Pakistan as your next destination. The Embassy of Pakistan, Stockholm, is ready to support you in any way in this venture. See you in Pakistan. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. We as an organization appreciate your support and concern which you have towards Pakistani community in Sweden.
I would like to welcome Governor of Punjab, Mr. Mohammad Sarwar, to share his views on Pakistan tourism sector.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. It is a pleasure to address this event being organized by Embassy of Pakistan, Stockholm to promote Pakistan as a tourist destination. I would like to really appreciate the efforts of His Excellency, our Ambassador, Zahoor Ahmed Saab, for taking this wonderful initiative. As we all hopefully moving towards the end of pandemic, Pakistan welcomes tourists from Sweden and other parts of the world. I invite you to plan a trip to Pakistan and enjoy Pakistan's hospitality, culture, and natural beauty. Pakistan is a cradle of ancient civilizations and has some of the most diverse and fascinating natural beauty in the world. From the stretches of great mountain ranges in the north to the vast alluvial delta of the Indus River in the south, Pakistan remains a land blessed with nature's beauty and majestic mountains. With shining deserts and some of the world's highest peaks, the country has merits attractions for sightseers, skiers, trekkers, and mountaineers. Pakistan is the place for those who are interested in white water rafting, trout fishing, jeep rallies, camel riding, yak safaris, world flora and fauna. Mesmerizing Sufi music and world's rich, exotic and irresistible cuisines. Pakistan is a melting pot of religions and cultures. It contains deep religious heritage for pilgrims of various faiths and beliefs. It has a land that holds a reservoir of knowledge for archaeologists, historians, artists, and anthropologists. The Buddhist ruins of Taxila are priceless treasure of immense interest to Buddhists and researchers around the world. Taxila became a center of excellence where the first ever university was founded there in the 10th century BC. Sikhism was founded by Guru Nanak, who was born in Nankana Sahib, Pakistan. There are numerous sites in Pakistan that are sacred to Sikh community. Thousands of pilgrims visit these places from all over the globe. In 2019, the government renovated and expanded Kartarpur corridor to celebrate the 550th birthday anniversary of Baba Guru Nanak. And it has thus emerged as a center of interfaith harmony and a symbol of goodwill of the people of Pakistan for the Sikh community. From less than 500,000 foreign tourist arrivals in 2015, the World Tourism Monitoring Agencies recorded over 2 million tourist arrivals during 2019 to Pakistan despite this pandemic. Tourism is a focused area of present government. Several initiatives are being undertaken to garner the potential offered by the tourism industry. The vision of the present government under the leadership of Imran Khan is to develop the tourism sector as a national priority, taking full advantage of regional and international trends and developments. The government is trying to create an enabling environment for Pakistan's tourism industry by providing world-class facilities that commensurate with our rich cultural heritage, rare archaeological treasures, and exquisite environmental beauty in close partnership and coordination between the public and the private sector, while preserving and protecting our cultural and moral values and projecting tourism-friendly image of the country. Pakistan, Sweden, friendship, Zindabad.
Thank you so much, sir. Now I would like to welcome Special Assistant to Prime Minister for Overseas Pakistani and Human Resource Development, Mr. Zulfi Bukhari. Sir.
I'm hoping that all of you are safe and healthy during this world pandemic. I wanted to discuss with you today a little bit about Pakistan's new phenomena, its most booming industry, which is called tourism. It's a sector which has been deprived for many years, although it's a country full of diverse and intense landscapes. Pakistan's diversity is something which ranges from 260-kilometer coastal blue beach coastal lines, the highest peaks in the world, the deepest deserts, and old forts, shrines, history, culture, archaeology, temples. It's the Muslim country with the most amount of churches. So Pakistan has diversity which unfortunately just has not been explored the way that it should have. In Switzerland, I'll give you a small example before we move on. In Switzerland, probably the highest peak you have is around 4,200 meters. In Pakistan, the first base camp on K2 is 5,000 meters. So you have the most diverse mountain ranges across the world, from green top mountains in Kumrat and in the Galiat areas, and then you have the snowy mountains towards GB, and you have the rocky mountains towards Chitral. So you have this diversity of peaks with different climate. We have tropical landscape above 7,000 meters, which is very rare in the world, with tropical plantation and wildlife. We have snow leopards, black brown bears, we have the maho, the ibex, the blue sheep. And Pakistan, unfortunately, was this hidden gem which was just being explored by probably the most adventurous. In the last 2 years, however, there's been this conscious effort to bring Pakistan onto the world map. You've seen big global publications, Condé Nast, British Backpackers Association, Pakistan, Forbes calling it one of the coolest destinations, Condé Nast calling it the biggest, the best place to visit in 2020, best holiday destination. This is all because of the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister probably being the most adventurous tourist in Pakistan. He's the only Prime Minister that has visited all of Pakistan, explored it. I've been quite fortunate to explore a lot of it with him. And when we took over the government, he remained the tourism minister himself. As his responsibilities increased, he ended up giving the ministry to me to start pushing it further. Since then, what we've done is we're going to be launching Brand Pakistan, which is an international branding standard, which you see in Incredible India, Visit Dubai, Malaysia, Best in Asia, Malaysia, sort of thing. So Pakistan's coming up with this brand, which we're looking to launch towards the end of May, COVID permitted. This will give you a complete insight and look of Pakistan, its people, its hospitality, which is one of our main assets. And along with that, it'll give you a booking website with all standardizations for people living inside and outside of Pakistan. Pakistan's developing ITZ zones, which is integrated tourism zones, which have well mapped out master plans for where hotels are going to be developed: 3-star resorts, 2-star resorts, 5-star resorts. So far, Pakistan probably is the only country in the world that, despite the pandemic, is going to be developing 25 to 32 brand new resorts across the country from 3 to 5-star, which is a huge amount of development happening, especially at this time where you see a lot of places closing. Pakistan was probably the very few countries, and probably the only country in our neighborhood, which adopted a smart lockdown. What that did was that it let us only close our hospitality sector for a very short period of time. And when it opened, it was booming. We had more tourism this year in winter than we've had in any summer. And summer is usually the time when Pakistanis tour all around the country, and winter was always a dead season for tourism. But this means that tourism in Pakistan has become for 12 months. It's a 12-month activity. And I guarantee you that in the upcoming years, Pakistan is going to be one of the most recognized places, and that is for tourism in the world. The world GDP, the average GDP in the world is about 9.8 to 10% of its GDP comes from tourism. Pakistan is unfortunately just below 3%. And our goal is to take it up to around the 7 to 8% mark in the next 3 years, which we're very confident in doing. Pakistan is safer than ever. 2019 was one of the safest years in Pakistan in the last 15 odd years. And it's just getting safer every day. You'll hear less things of anything happening to a tourist or people walking alone. It's an open country, especially in the cities. You somewhat wear what you like, you be how you like. Compared to some of the biggest tourist attractions, so, you hear more about tourists getting mugged in probably Cancun or Mexico or somewhere, or central London for that matter these days, than anywhere else in the world, than Pakistan. And Pakistan is in that way extremely safe, especially where these tourist corridors lie. We're creating one of the largest Buddha trail in the world, which starts at the top of the country towards Swat and comes all the way down to Punjab and goes towards Azad Kashmir and GB. We have one of the largest sleeping Buddhas, about a 45 feet sleeping Buddha, some of the oldest relics and stupas. So, these things all filter in. We have some of the oldest forts, palaces, which we're developing into boutique hotels and into opening for the first time to the public. So if you all want to come to a place where you can stay on a beach or on a mountaintop resort or in the desert, or in a cosmopolitan city like Lahore, Islamabad, or Karachi, and visit from tombs to shrines to forts to architecture to beautiful mountain tops, Pakistan's the place to do it with the most amount of ease and hospitality. One thing I can guarantee you, that the people of Pakistan will never let you down. I again thank you for this opportunity. We're working very closely with Sweden's ambassador over here as well, and we welcome you all here, and I'll make sure I take a personal interest into all your visit over here. His Excellency The Ambassador Zahoor Ahmed, I want to thank you for this opportunity and for arranging this. It's a great service you're doing to the country, to showcasing it across the globe, especially in like a country like Sweden, which we all admire and have a lot to learn from.
Thank you, sir, for your support for overseas Pakistanis. Over to you, Asher.
Now, without further ado, let us welcome Mr. Johnny Norman Friskile to be the first to share in this year's Salam Pakistan. He is a Norwegian residing in Sweden. He is an independent tour leader. He has traveled more than 100 countries. And he mentioned to Swedish newspaper Metro that Pakistan is his favorite top listed destination, and that's why PICS got attracted to him. So let's welcome Mr. Johnny Norman Friskile.
Okay, hello everybody, and first of all, thank you very much to PICS, Pakistan Information and Cultural Society, for inviting me here to speak today. My name is Johnny Friskile, and I am a tour guide, tour leader, and tour creator, and travel blogger as well. At the moment, of course, not traveling that much, but trying to become a teacher in history for upper secondary students here in Stockholm, where I live. I'm Norwegian myself, but have been living in Norway. I have been living in Sweden, for the last 18 years. Why am I invited to speak here today? Well, I first got in touch with PICS, or PICS actually got in touch with me a few years ago when I was interviewed in one of the biggest newspapers in Sweden, Metro, regarding travel and budget travel, actually. And I was recommending Pakistan as one of my favorite destinations. It still is one of my favorite travel destinations. And as I was talking about Pakistan as a tourist destination, PICS got in touch with me. So here I am today. My plan now is that I will talk a little bit about my experiences from traveling in Pakistan. I will share with you a few stories from my trips to Pakistan. They are 3 in all, 3 trips that I have done: 2016, 2017, and 2018. My relationship with Pakistan is, it started in a quite unexpected way. It was a friend of mine that had been traveling in Pakistan before. He was now going for his 3rd time to the country, and he asked if I wanted to join him. And since I'd been traveling a lot myself before, since I was working as a tour leader, taking Swedish and Norwegian travelers to different destinations, mostly in Asia, Central Asia, Caucasus, Russia, then I thought that, okay, why not Pakistan? Why not go to Pakistan and discover it by myself, together with my friend then? However, a couple of weeks before departure, I got my visa, and my friend's visa got declined. So there I was, suddenly on my own, going to Pakistan. And I, of course, started browsing the internet. I went on to couch surfing. I did quite a lot of research. I decided that, okay, even though I'm alone now, I will go anyway. I went, and I had the most fantastic, I had a great experience. So many nice people, delicious food, so many sights to see, people that I wanted to meet again. So after my initial trip in 2016, I simply had to go again. So there I went, 2017, 2018, and during these 3 tours to Pakistan, which each lasted maybe 2 to 3 weeks, I've got to see quite a few places, from Lahore down to Bhabalpur, down to Multan, down to Hyderabad, down to a city that I'm very afraid of pronouncing because I do it wrong, Tata, well, you can laugh if you want, and down to Karachi. Later I went to Peshawar, I went up the Karakoram Highway to Gilgit-Baltistan area in freezing cold winter, minus 25, I'm sure it was, right at the Chinese border. But yeah, I would have gone last year as well, if it wasn't for the fact that we are all sitting here online on Zoom and other through other channels as well. I would have, because I contacted the company Världens Resor in Stockholm that I had been working for as a tour leader, and I suggested to them that we make a tour, the first Scandinavian tour to Pakistan. We did. The tour sold out once, twice, thrice. Then Corona came. So there was no tour. But who knows? Maybe this autumn, or maybe next year. We know that tours to Pakistan, they do sell. Swedish and Norwegian people, they are, some of them at least, are eager to go. I mean, these are group tours with not such a big number of people, between 10 to 18 people in each tour. So we are happy, really, really, really happy that they sell and that people are interested in going. What more can I say? I do write a bit about Pakistan in Swedish on my own travel blog. Except from that, my life has now turned out a bit differently because of the pandemics. Hopefully I'll be a teacher of history within a year or so. But anyway, let's see. I'm quite sure that I will be going back to Pakistan again. Maybe not this year, but maybe next year, the year after that. I really hope so. We are not going to talk, or I'm not going to talk only about me, of course, because that would be boring. But I want to share with you some of my experiences from traveling to and in Pakistan. And railway journeys is something that is quite popular these days. It is something that has become more and more trendy, as we know that air travel isn't that good for the environment. Well, not all train travel is good for the environment either, but anyway, it has become a trend. And on my first journey to Pakistan, I wanted to go from Lahore and down to Karachi, or to Hyderabad actually, on train number 16, the Karachi Express. And I was a bit charmed by the name of it, the Karachi Express. It sounded like the Orient Express or something. And when you walk into the railway station in Lahore, with its clock tower, and you see the decorative ceramic tiles from maybe 1910s or 1920s, and you really feel that you are in a different world. You have all the people, I mean, it's full of life. If the train is delayed, which it was, I mean, you don't really care because it's still so much to see. And of course, as a foreigner, you do attract a certain amount of attention. If I'm out a very long time in the sun, then my hair gets blonde. I mean, now it's winter and I haven't been traveling, so now I'm not blonde anymore. But as a blonde traveler in Pakistan, yes, I do attract attention, and I like photography, so I carry a big camera, and then people point at my camera, and sometimes they want to take selfies with me, and sometimes I can take very nice pictures of them, and it's a brilliant way to get in touch with people, make new friends, and I don't think I have ever felt lonely in Pakistan. Even if I have been on my own, I have never been on my own for a very long time, because there is always someone who wants to talk, to have a good time, invite for a meal or a small drink or something. So sitting there at the train station when waiting for the train maybe to arrive, yeah, that's okay. If it takes an extra hour or two, and then finally the train comes and you sit down on the train, you lie down for the night. I had some kind of the only ticket they wanted to sell me, buying a ticket was not that easy, but the only ticket they wanted to sell me was a first class ticket. So I paid maybe $40 or something. Then I had my own toilet in the cabin, which I have never experienced ever before in my whole life. So that was fun. But you lie down to sleep, then evening becomes night and night becomes morning, and you are down in the Sindh province. You are crossing the river Indus. You see the buffaloes, and the morning sky is just complete red because you're waiting for the sunset, for the sunrise, I mean. It is truly one of those railway journeys that I will never forget, and that I cherish. I like taking the train. I'm taking trains in Russia a lot, also with groups, and that could definitely be something to sell also to foreign guests, railway journeys in Pakistan. Another memory that I would like to mention is that when me and a Pakistani friend, because as I told you, it's easy to get in contact with people, and we drove from Lahore up to Islamabad, and we stopped, among other places, we stopped in the salt mines in Kevra. I'm sorry, I'm bad at pronunciation, but anyway, the mining village, the mining town of Kevra that produces what we in Sweden call the Himalaya salt, which is this nice pink orange salt that here is extremely expensive. There, by the mines, it is absolutely not extremely expensive. And you get up to this area, you know that the Indian tectonic plate crashed with the Eurasian tectonic plate for maybe 50 million years ago or something. No one is exactly sure. And when in the middle it used to be the ocean, and suddenly the ocean was not the ocean anymore, but you still had the salt, the water evaporated, and this salt range was created. And when you know that the history or the geology, and then when you come there and you see the mines and you're passing lorries and camels and decorated tractors, and they are all filled with these with this salt, and then you get to see the I was about to say the caves, but you get to see the mine, the salt mine. You walk inside the salt mine where they have created a mosque and a tower out of salt. Other buildings, there are saltwater ponds. They have this lights on, so it's quite fascinating experience. Their own statistics say that 250,000 tourists visit the salt mines every year. I assume that 240,000 out of those are Pakistani school children. At least it seemed like that when I got there. But that was still fun. The story about the salt mines also, it was supposed to be Alexander the Great's horses that explored it when he was marching through that area 2,300 years ago. Whether that is just a nice story to tell or whether it is the truth, I can't say. But anyway, outside the salt mines, you also have the small souvenir shops selling lamps and ornaments made by the salts. And yeah, on the tour that I created with this tour company here in Stockholm, we did include the salt mines. And yeah, I really hope that it will become reality this autumn or next year. Another most, well, a fabulous experience I had in Pakistan was the Eid Milad celebration, the birthday of the Prophet. When I am in Lahore and I see everybody, men, women, children out on the streets, children creating all kinds of models with their toys, with styrofoam, with glitter. Everybody or people are giving away food, people are giving away small presents. And then again, I come there as a foreigner with my camera and people take pictures of me and I take pictures of them and they offer me food and I eat and my stomach gets a bit sick afterwards, maybe. It has happened once. But still, it is like Christmas and New Year times 10, and everybody seems so, yeah, it's actually hard to explain. You have to be there to experience it, and I'm sure that many of you that are watching here, you have been there, and you know what I'm talking about, so you can just imagine that. For me, as a Scandinavian, I'm Norwegian originally, as I said, living in Sweden, coming there, seeing all these decorations. I have never seen so much glitter in my whole life, so much bling bling. Fabulous, great. From Lahore, which basically has been my hub when I have been in Pakistan, I have done certain day excursions. I went to also overnight excursions. I went to Bawalpur 1 year, maybe not so successful because I had to have a police escort all the time, and that was a bit of negotiation. The year after, I went to Multan on a 22-hour day trip from Lahore because I really wanted to avoid the police escort and staying overnight in certain hotels that would be a bit more expensive. So I took a very, very early morning bus from Lahore. I came to Multan, the city of shrines, the city of saints, shrines from different centuries with blue enamel tiles. And you see children playing, you see people praying, rose petals over the graves of the saints, all the colors, just a very, very peaceful experience. Friendly people again. I did a bit of shopping, Pakistan is for me a great shopping experience too, because many of the things they are real handmade. I bought a pair of scissors from a guy who made scissors in Multan, for instance. I went back in the evening by bus. Then I was in bed back in Lahore at 3 o'clock in the morning, so 22 hours. But at least I avoided the police escort. I could talk about my experiences in Peshawar, where I also met extremely friendly people, where I walked around in the bazaars. I can talk about the Karakoram Highway that I did on my very last trip in December 2018. I went there on a kind of an organized tour, but organized from a local company. It was me and a Pakistani friend, and then it was some other guy that none of us knew before. And memories from there, of course, going up to the Chinese border, 4,600 and is it 93 meters above sea level? I'm not sure. It is windy. It is minus 20, 25 degrees outside. Seeing animals, visiting the small shops in Karimabad and along the road. I bought a very, very small ruby as a memory from there. Also, you see the emeralds, you see the aquamarine stones. Along the road, you have the very old petroglyphs that you can find, because this was, I mean, the highway itself, as a highway, it is not very old. It was established, I think it was finished in 1979, if I'm not mistaken. But before that, of course, there was a road. It was a transport route, and also a part of this network that you call the Silk Road. There has been Zoroastrians, there have been Buddhists, there have maybe been Christians. In this area, you find lots and lots of Buddhist petroglyphs, inscriptions along the road. The Sharital rock arts, more than 1,000 years old. And the fun thing about this was that our driver on this tour, he didn't really know about the rock art. But I had read about it. I had done a little bit of research, and on parts of the road, we did have armed escort with us, and our armed police escort was actually a lot more interested in finding these rock arts than our guide was. He was just waiting by the car. And as a tourist, as a traveler myself, I found an enormous pleasure in the fact that you don't necessarily have a guide to point out for you, now you're going to see this, now you're going to see that, now you're going to see this and that, but that there is a certain amount of difficulty as well. I like that. There is you have to look for it yourself. You have to find it yourself. You have to ask people. It's a kind of a, I won't say a competition, but it's kind of a challenge. And I guess as when many of the guest foreigners, tourist travelers that come to Pakistan, they maybe do it because it is a part of because it is a challenge. Many of the things, a personal challenge, if nothing else. I could continue to talk about Pakistan. I will not, because my time is running out here. But I want to tell you all, thank you so much for listening to me. Thank you so much, PICS, for inviting me to this talk. I really hope that for those of you who are from Pakistan or have been to Pakistan, do go again. For those of you who haven't been to Pakistan yet, you really, really, really should go. Have I mentioned the food? I don't think so. Oh, I'm getting hungry. I actually made chatli kebab for dinner yesterday. So, okay. Thank you. If you want to read more about Pakistan, you can read on my blog. If you read Swedish, Johnny by John, difficult spelling, but I'm sure it will be written here somewhere. And once again, thank you so much for listening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnny, for the very insightful sharing. Now let us welcome Professor Hans Werner Wesler to share his personal experience in Pakistan. He is a professor of Indology with the focus of modern South Asian languages and even cultures. His background is in classical Indology, but for many years, his personal focus is on Urdu, its cultural history and religion. Welcome, sir.
So my name is Hans Werner Wesler, and I happen to be professor of a strange subject and traditional subject at Uppsala University, which is called Indology. Indology does not refer to the modern state of India. It's more a historical term that goes back to a time when everything around the Sindh River and everything east of it was called India in Europe, which still reflects somehow in modern terms like Indochina or Indonesia. So India is not the modern, in this case, is not the modern nation state. And we have a tendency to change over to South Asian studies. So Pakistan is included into this, and I have a personal interest also in Pakistan. And in recent years, let's say the last about 8 years, I have been to Pakistan quite on a quite regular basis. 7 or 8 times, so about once per year or so, sometimes even twice per year, maybe even 9 times. And this is basically through my university contacts, of course, and I have been at several universities, basically Karachi University, Lahore University, and Open University Islamabad, and I have been to Kharpur, Shah Abdul Latif University, and several other places, colleges and universities here and there, where I have academic contacts and where I've met people, where I met students. It was, my travel was first of all because I joined conferences, academic conferences, on several subjects, mostly relating to Urdu literature or literature in general, because in our subject we happen to teach South Asian languages, and I am happy that I introduced Urdu here at Uppsala University. So we have had, at least on an introductory level, Urdu since I think 2013 or 14. And I would like to make more out of it, but unfortunately, because of a lack of teaching personnel, this is not possible. As far as I know, it's the only place in the Nordic countries where Urdu is taught, is Uppsala University. And I have been invited, and so I know the Urdu departments here and there. I know Oriental College in Lahore. Yeah, well, I can say. They have even made me in 2019 a foreign staff member of the famous Oriental College at University of the Punjab in Lahore, which means I am sometimes asked to write expert opinions. Well, I do this not only for the University of the Punjab, I also do this for Open University in Islamabad and for Karachi Urdu department. And so I've made a lot of experiences. It also gave me the chance to interact with a lot of students. In 2019, in November 2019, I was about 3 weeks at famous Oriental College at University of the Punjab in Lahore, where I gave a course on comparative literature and its methodology for MPhil and PhD students in several languages. And my teaching was then in Urdu, which made it possible for a lot of people to join. So everybody helps me. Also, my Urdu is of course not perfect, but it's good enough to manage somehow, to even in teaching. So that, of course, I'm somehow special with this. Urdu is a wonderful language. As you know, it's in Pakistan has a lot of languages. Usually the number that is given is 72 or 74 languages, and among them 5 languages that are as big as Swedish. Urdu is the official national language. Only few people have Urdu as their mother tongue, about 7% something in Pakistan, but almost every Pakistani knows Urdu as a second language. So it's a multilingual setup so that people know several languages very often. A bit unusual for Sweden. So it's not Urdu is not a language that is only learned in school or so, but it's also somehow present in television, in radio, in the newspapers, and wherever. And people, of course, appreciate that I speak it, because Urdu has, well, it's the same with Urdu like Pakistani's image problem. Pakistan's image problem has to do that with the terrorism. It has to do with let's say a certain kind of Islamophobia that you might find in Western countries. And of course, I am, if I want it or not, I'm an ambassador of the other Pakistan. So I've traveled also a lot. Well, not a lot, but I've traveled a little bit. I've seen a lot of places. I've been to not only to these 3 places that I mentioned, Karachi, Islamabad, and Lahore, but also, of course, I'm interested in Sufi traditions, and so I visited also a lot of places of Sufis, and I have also a research project with the professor of Punjabi at Oriental College, Nabila Rehman, who happened to have been as a visiting professor at Uppsala University in 2017 for about half a year. So we went to several places. Now, one of the questions that are sometimes asked, even by my colleagues at Uppsala University, is it secure? How do you feel? Is it safe to travel, etc.? I have never perceived any problem of this kind. Of course, I think the situation has improved significantly the last 15 years. And for example, in Karachi 15 years ago or 20 years ago, it was quite tense. And several groups kind of occupied several regions, and there were attacks. But I think it has calmed down completely now, at least for the time being. So I never had any problem to go even at night times, taking a 3-wheeler or a taxi to places in Lahore and Islamabad and also in Karachi. So I never experienced any insecurity or something. And of course, it is people are very happy to see a Westerner in their country. It's you make these astonishing experiences that people in a shop greet you. Hey, we're so happy to see you in a shop. Somebody you don't know before. We're so happy to see you. Very few people from outside come to our country. Please be our guest. So this guest is, as you know, is something very special in Pakistan. Of course, when you're treated as a guest, you're the king, and the people easily invite you to families, and so it's another kind of social communication. It's not like Sweden, where it might take a long time until you're invited at home, for example. In Pakistan, you're easily by your colleagues invited at home, and people try really to make you feel comfortable. And so whenever I said I would like to see this place or that place, and it was always very soon made possible in a way that somebody would join me and to find the place, and even strange places. So I personally find Pakistan is a country that is very open to foreign visitors and very very friendly to people that are coming from outside. But I know many people don't see this side of Pakistan in the West, and it's a problem. It's an image problem. There are also a lot of places in Pakistan that are worth visiting, historical places. It has an old history and museums, and many places are very well maintained. For example, I love the historical museum in Lahore. The National Museum in Karachi is that needs some renovation. That is not in the best shape, but it's still a very nice museum. You can spend a whole day in the National Museum in Karachi by seeing all these remains from Mohenjo-daro, from the Indus Valley civilization 5,000 years ago. And then there's a continuity to the Buddhist time. A lot of Buddhist statues, and Lahore Museum has a lot of excellent Buddhist statues. And then from Islamabad, Taxila is not very far. Taxila is this old so-called Buddhist University, a wonderful museum with a beautiful garden behind it. And these places are very well maintained, and you're welcome. And you get an impression about this Bactrian culture, this Greek-influenced Buddhist culture there. And when Islamabad is anyway a very nice place. It's because of its closeness to Taxila, because it is a little bit higher up. I think isn't it 800 meters or something? So the climate is also a bit more nice compared to Karachi, and Lahore can be very warm in summer, but in winter it's better. I also happen to go by train sometimes and by bus, which I always found quite relaxing. So the bus between Lahore and Islamabad, for example, I mean, it's a modern motorway. In the last 20 or 25 years, Pakistan has constructed quite modern motorways, and it's quite comfortable. It was by chance a Volvo bus between Islamabad and Lahore. It goes quick and it stops in between. You can have nice food, so that's completely comfortable. And the trains are also nice. Well, there's this very long train from Karachi. I always wanted to go from Karachi to Peshawar. I didn't have the time. It's 1,600 kilometers, very far. But because I love slow traveling by train, but I went only from Karachi to Sakkar and Kharpur. I mentioned this Abdullah Shah Abdul Latif University, which is, I mean, you get an impression of the landscape. And by the way, on this travel, this about 100 kilometers north of Karachi is a very interesting, that was in 2018, I think, a very interesting windmill park there, Gympie Windmill Park, and it's growing. That's something which I found amazing. I mean, thousands, I think there were maybe hundreds, maybe not thousands, but at least hundreds of windmills. So there's this wind corridor there, and Pakistan has in recent years, or has started, I think, already some 12 or 13 years ago, but it's constantly it's constantly growing. A windmill park with a lot of, I mean, it's one of these important efforts to go towards using the wind power for energy production. Of course, Pakistan has these development goals. It wants to develop somehow, but everybody is aware of the climate change, even in Pakistan. I mean, I have a lot of talks about this. Everyone aware that this is a basic problem, and we should do something about it. So I was quite happy when I saw these Gympie wind corridor wind parks there. So it's a very modern kind of thing. And what is also very nice is I was very impressed in Lahore by the public transport, which now there are these. Sorry, there's a call coming in. Which is now there's this metro bus system in Lahore, and now 3 metro lines are. One, it has been opened recently. 3 metro lines are under construction. 2 are under construction. 1 is opened recently. Sorry. I have to. Sorry. Are under construction, and these things are being taken very serious. Of course, the towns are growing, so that there's also an ambitious plan to modernize the train system all over in the country. In Karachi, I'm very happy to have read about this, that the round circular railway has been opened again after a breakdown some 20 years ago or so. So that's, of course, Pakistan needs to invest a lot of energy into these into its transport system. That's a very important tool for its development. What I was astonished was how strong the China factor is. China is very present in a lot of projects. For example, the metro project in Lahore is also China is with it. Of course, it's a joint venture, but even in the Confucius Institutes with a Chinese language, Hanban, as the institution is called, is very active. Even at Karachi University, in the Urdu department of Karachi University, there's Chinese teaching of Chinese. So not in the Chinese department, in the Urdu department. So it's very popular, and you find even on banks sometimes the names of the bank in Urdu, of course, first, and then English, and then Chinese. So it's very strong. Some newspapers have weekly on Saturdays, for example, 4 pages in Chinese. There are a lot of Chinese residents in Pakistan now. So this factor is astonishingly strong. I was quite astonished about this, how strong this factor is, but it's also part of the, how shall I say, internationalization. I was also on one conference at the Lums University, which is a private university in Lahore some years back, by the way, which has a Swedish connection, because the Tetra Pak has given a lot of money to this university to construct the library. I was astonished to learn about this. It's also a rich businessman who has constructed this Lahore University of Management Studies, which also has a department of languages and humanities and all these things. A very modern university with students that are very much aware of what's going on in the world. By the way, I also find this with University of the Punjab. As I said, I've been teaching there. So students, they have a lot of languages being taught. At least 7 or 8 European languages, Spanish, French, and German also, which happens to be my mother tongue. And not Swedish. But there's also Greek, Hebrew. Hebrew I found particularly interesting, because Pakistan does not yet have a diplomatic relationship with Israel, but there's Hebrew. There's even Sanskrit is taught there. Lahore has an old tradition of Sanskrit learning, and it has, by the way, a collection of 8,000 manuscripts in Sanskrit in its archives. I was so happy the collection was shown to me, and I have to say they were in quite good shape. They are really taken care of. Of course, they are in steel cupboards, but there's a catalog, and you can get manuscripts, and there's also manuscript restoration work going on, and so this is part of the cultural heritage of Pakistan, of course. And so on the one side, I experience Pakistan as a country that is much more open, much more friendly to foreigners than the common people in the West expect. On the other hand, it has a long cultural tradition. I mean, I've also been to Mohenjo-daro, to this Indus Valley civilization places, which were also quite well maintained, I have to say, and work is going on. A beautiful museum, Mohenjo-daro Museum. And on the other hand, this 5,000 years of history, and then it has a very much active culture. I've been with the people in the so-called Urdu Bagh, Anjuman-e-Taraqi Pasand Urdu in Karachi, very active in literary culture, very active in literature festivals. There's a big literature festivals in Karachi, usually in the beginning of December. Unfortunately, I could not join. Last year I had an invitation, but I couldn't. 2019, sorry, not last year. So unfortunately, there's this Corona crisis going on, which is a problem for this kind of interaction which we have. But in last year, I had several webinaries. We have discovered this webinary culture, which were quite interesting. Particularly, I happen to know the last year appointed head of the Pakistani Academy of Letters in Islamabad quite well. Yusuf Khushk, a very active person, very interested in establishing international contacts. And we had a very nice webinar with him. Actually, I was planning to come to Islamabad on his invitation now in March, but because of the Corona crisis, it had to be postponed. But I'm looking forward to more interaction with Yusuf Khushki and the Pakistani Academy of Letters in near future, once the Corona crisis is over and traveling will be possible. I hope in summer or second half of the year that might be possible. By the way, I was asked to speak in a conference on children's literature there, and I was planning to speak on Astrid Lindgren, of course, and not only Pippi Longstockings, that's a little bit kind of too much spread out, but on her more later books, which also go, the Sonja Röversdotter and etc., which go into the dark side of the child's psyche. And I was also planning to speak a little bit about these diaries that on the discussion in Sweden on her relationship to Nazi Germany during the war and these things. But anyways, this is postponed, of course, which is a pity. But Islamabad is I was particularly impressed in Islamabad by the Open University, which is a distance university, which is blossoming now in times of Corona. I sometimes write opinions. I have a good contact with the colleagues there. And of course, it's amazing. They have about 200,000 students overall Pakistan, all in Pakistan. And basically have been trying to reach out since the foundation decades ago to students that cannot come to the big towns, to the big universities, that live on the countryside. And there's a big effort to transport education to villages and what is sometimes called remote areas, which are not so remote as one might believe. And a lot of, I was amazed, a lot of devoted students who under much constraints on the countryside try to educate themselves. And they have, I think they have about 150 regional centers all over Pakistan, and particularly in regions that don't have easy access to modern education. And they're doing a lot to enable the people in these remote areas to have access to education and to BAs and university degrees and BAs and MAs, MPhil, MSc or whatever. So this is also one of the things that I think there's this tremendous thirst for education all over in the country. It's in even the most remote village you will find this, that people ask you. I have been asked that because I speak Urdu, and I mean, what can I do to improve my education, and what can I do to have my children improve? And people are ready to invest a lot of money. That's for Sweden. It's amazing. When I hear from my friends in Pakistan how much money they invest into the education of their kids, I mean, that's just unthinkable in Sweden. You don't invest much money into education. So there is this, and this university is working on this, and a lot of devoted people who believe this is our message to the nation, this is our service to the nation, what we're doing here. And so I think there are a lot of people, good willing people, and people that are thirsty for international contacts, people that are extremely generous when you come as a visitor, and as I said, invite you to our home, accompany you to places where you would like to go. And so that's really the positive side. Of course, there's poverty, there are a lot of structural problems, there's still transport problems. The China factor is very strong. That is not only, well, one can also see this critical. It's there's this question that also many of my friends have in Pakistan also. Are the Chinese taking over the country, and is it under control? Is this really helping us? Of course, it's necessary to discuss all this. But altogether, I mean, the China factor has definitely led to internationalization, to modernization in many respects. So I think there's definitely something extremely positive to it. And so I'm looking forward to go back to Pakistan, which it's always pleasant to be there. And so this is my experience. So that might sound maybe a bit over enthusiastic, but that's how I experience Pakistan. And I would like some occasion to travel to the north. Of course, my friends tell me you should definitely go to the north and see the mountains and all this. I love mountains and I love nature, and I'm ecologically minded, of course. But there was never enough time. I was always kind of with these conferences and with my academic contacts, so that I didn't really have the leisure to go to the north, which I would like to do. But I'm looking forward to a time when this Corona crisis is over, and when also I can revive my contacts and go to the north, as I've been planning for a couple of years now, but which could not be. Well, we're always dreaming of something. But anyway, it will also, even if I don't manage when I go to Pakistan next time to go to the north, because I would at least need a week for this, I'll be happy to be back in Lahore and Karachi, Islamabad, or where I meet I can say my good friends now. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your perspective. Indeed, Pakistan's heritage, culture, and history is very fascinating. So let us welcome our third presenter, Mr. Shahzad Salim, aka Joji. He is a Canadian Pakistani, son of Pakistan's pride, Mr. Salim Javed. Joji is a filmmaker and music producer, and recently one of Shahzad's travel films, The Beautiful Sindh, promoting the beauty of the province of Sindh of Pakistan, got featured on Amazon Prime in the US and UK and has been very well received by the audience. So let us hear from him and his perspective on Pakistan during his trip.
Hi, my name is Shahzad Salim Joji, and I'm a filmmaker and music producer from Pakistan. I was born in Hyderabad, Sindh, and raised in Karachi. My tilt towards media wasn't accidental. I grew up with a huge influence of showbiz since my father Salim Javed, who is a pop artist, is one of the biggest names in the music industry of Pakistan and is still active for 4 decades. All the country's finest musicians, producers, engineers who were working with my dad fueled my curiosity to be in the media and were a core part of me growing up. At the age of 14, I was already recording my dad's music album professionally in my dad's studio, and doing so, I became the youngest professional sound engineer of Pakistan at that time. Fast forward 10 years, I did my own debut as a singer in Pakistan, and the album was well received. But I knew singing was going to be more like a hobby and fun because my passion was awaiting for me down the road. And so I started to lean towards filmmaking, since I was already exposed to the video production industry, as I was actively assisting my father and a few other directors and editors in the process of making videos. I saved up some money and bought my first DSLR camera in 2010, and everything changed after that. I self-taught myself many things about filmmaking, and YouTube became my best friend and a teacher. And soon started directing music videos for many artists internationally and locally. I wanted to tell stories through my videos, and a few-minute music videos that I was doing wasn't going to do that for me. I wanted to explore the world, see various culture, traditions, people, and tell their stories through my lens. And so began a journey of a lifetime that I thought I would never be going to do. And since I was caught up with many mundane life activities, I resigned from my job as a chief operating officer at one of the tech companies in Karachi in March 2019, and I finally decided to pack my backpack, grabbed my camera, and started this journey of self-awareness from my province Sindh in Pakistan. Since this was a life-changing opportunity for me, I wanted to document and film the entire experience as well. I chose Sindh as a starting point because I lived in Karachi, which is part of our province Sindh. I found myself obliged to start my journey there because that's my home. Those are my own people, and sadly, I never went out to meet them other than my professional commitments. One of my friend Tata, who owns a travel portal called Batuta in Pakistan, hopped along this journey. And we planned our itinerary of a 10-day road trip in Sindh consisting of the following cities: Tata, Tarpaka District, Vichya City, Bhitcha, Saidabad, Sevan Sharif, Gorakhil in Dadu District, Larkana, the ancient city of Manjadhara, Gani Khudabakhsh, Sakkar, and Hyderabad. And I must tell you, this was a very ambitious itinerary for a 10-day road trip. Our first stop was McLean Acropolis in Tata city. This is one of the largest graveyards in the world that houses 500,000 to 1 million graves. The unique thing about this graveyard is the exquisite designs of the grave with calligraphic engraving, historical designs of tombs and mausoleums. Our next stop was also going to be in Tata city, and it was Shah Jahan Mosque, built in the 17th century by Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan as a token of appreciation for the hospitality of the people of Tata. This mosque is unique for its architectural history and design. The mosque has the highest number of domes among any mosque in Pakistan. Tata was also the center of Islamic culture in the 16th and 17th century. Our last stop for Tata city was going to be Kinjar Lake, also known as Kalri Lake. This is the second largest freshwater lake in Pakistan. They have cottages and restaurant over there as well, so you can stay overnight and enjoy the sunset and sunrise over the lake. After this, we headed towards Tarpaka District. Tarpaka is mostly desert, and the uniqueness of this desert is that it is the only fertile desert in the world, which means as soon as it hits the monsoon season, many places in the desert go green. The capital in Tarpaka District was Vichya City, where we stayed for a night at Gadibet. It's situated on top of a hill from where you can see the entire city and the desert all around you. The culture, the traditions, and lifestyle over here is completely different from what you see in the other cities. The people are very happy in nature and are very hospitable. The population in the district is split between Hindus and Muslims, and they live in a great harmony together. Our next stop was going to be Vichya City, but en route we stopped at Knockout Fort. It's also in Tarpaka district, built in the 18th century. At the time I visited, they were working on restoring many things at that fort. I went up and saw the desert around from the top of the fort, and it was amazing. The best moment was when I saw a herd of camels passing by. As a filmmaker, I think I hit a jackpot filming that from the top of the fort. Next up, Vichya City. The city is famous for two things: the shrine of very famous Sufi poet Shah Abdul Latif Bhuttai, and my favorite, the house of Sindhi ajrak shawls, hats, and other traditional attire. I saw how handmade ajraks are made, and it was an amazing experience to see how much effort is put into making them. So many man hours are put into making just a handful of them. Just on the outskirts of Vichya is Saeedabad. There was a small village called Agra Rao. That's where they make Sindhi traditional hats. Men, women, and children all make these hats at home. To be honest with you, this was my best interaction with the people of Sindh and their tradition. I had felt the warmth and felt so welcome that it made my day. Our next destination was Gorakhel in Dadu district. If you are a thrill seeker, then you must visit this place in Sindh. It's situated at least 4,000 plus feet above the sea level. Weather is pleasant throughout the year. The view of the mountains, the sunrise, the sunset, the bonfire, the food, the campfire. The place has everything and is an ultimate travel destination within Sindh. You must be thinking, where's the thrill part? Well, at one point there will be a route that goes in circles to the top of the Gorakhel. When you look outside the window of your car, you will know the thrill. Pakistan is a blessed land with great history. Among those historical sites was our next stop, the ancient city of Manjadhara from Indus Valley civilization. The city is adjacent to Larkana. This great city of Manjadhara also has a museum at site where the relics and finds of the city from 4,500 years ago are kept. This place is going to wow you and will give you goosebumps at the same time. Moving on to Kharpur District. Definitely one of my favorite places in Sindh. The drive on the roads of Kharpur is amazing because all you'll see on your left and right is date farms. Acres and acres of land covered with date trees. The view is going to refresh your soul, I guarantee you that. And since you're in Kharpur district, one must never forget the very famous Tadal almond drink. This is a drink of summer to keep you cool and has a very traditional significance. Within Kharpur district, there's a fort called Kot DG Fort. This is going to give you Game of Thrones kind of vibes. The fort spans over 1.8 kilometer in covered area, 50 feet tall towers. The fort also contains water reservoir, munition storage, prison, courtroom, numerous cells for security personnel, and a small regal residence. And best of all, the view of Kharpur date farm from the height of 110 feet, mind-blowing. Speaking of history, another city, Sakkar, is rich with history as well. Sakkar has a very lively vibe in terms of life as compared to other places I've been so far. The food, the lights, the liveliness was all there. Historical sites like Sadbelo Hindu Temple in the middle of the river, Lansdowne Bridge built by the British pre-partition, and Sakkar Barrage are few of the sites that are must visit. We concluded our trip in Hyderabad. Now Hyderabad is not a city with lots of sights, but it's definitely a foodie's heaven. By the time we reached the city, it was evening and we had an amazing time eating traditional mutton kadai for dinner. The breakfast the next day was really over the top. There's a dish called Dhulan Paratha, which literally translates to fried bride bread. Well, it's a tradition to send breakfast to the newlywed couples in Hyderabad, and Cafe Afzal in particular is famous for that, so they named it after the bride. The very famous 100+ years old Bombay Bakery cake in Hyderabad are a must. Keep in mind there is going to be a big lineup. And one of my favorite experiences was freshly caught fish, which you can have pan-fried or grilled by the river at Cafe Al Manzar. Though Karachi City is the king of food in Pakistan in terms of both fine dine and street food, but Hyderabad will definitely be a runner-up if you're talking about Sindh. Overall, Pakistan has one of the best foods in the world. It's so good that I guarantee you will be licking your fingers. From south to up north, every city, town, province, people from various backgrounds will have their specialities, and you would want to have them all. The aroma of spices in the food will attract you like a magnet from distant places. Although you can backpack your trip, but some planning in advance will always help you. A good itinerary will always benefit you on your trip. This is the day and age of digital media. Local influencers, bloggers, and vloggers like us are always happy to assist foreigners as well. You can always reach out to them through Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. If you are planning to see Sindh, Punjab, and Balochistan, I would recommend going when it's a bit pleasant. September till March is, I believe, the best season to visit these provinces. Up north is pleasant the entire summer with amazing lush green valleys, water streams, lakes, mountains with breathtaking views are all there. And in winter, you can enjoy snow and other winter activities. In the past, Pakistan has been a victim of terrorism itself while fighting for peace and have had questionable security concerns. But those are the days of the past. Right now, Pakistan is one of the fastest growing economies in Asia. Many big international media outlets are seeing Pakistan as one of the top tourist destinations in the world in 2021 and onwards. In fact, I wouldn't shy to say here that you should not believe everything you hear about Pakistan and Pakistanis on the news. Pakistanis are one of the most friendly people around the world. As a foreigner, when you go there, people will invite you to their homes. They will take you out for sightseeing, guide you and help you with your trip. When you go out shopping on the streets, they will often gift you what you're buying, saying that you are their guest and won't even take money even if you insist. Many big international known travel filmmakers, vloggers, bloggers are rushing to Pakistan because it offers one of the most unique experiences to them. People really get happy to see foreigners in Pakistan because they also want you to experience their hospitality. So you can tell the world that we are one of the most generous, loving people with one of the most beautiful countries in the world and even more beautiful hearts. My entire experience that I've spoken about today, I've documented in a travel film called The Beautiful Sin. It was so well received that recently international streaming platform Amazon Prime also featured it on their platform in the UK and USA. It is also an honor for me as a Pakistani that I get to share the story of our country, the beauty of our country, the culture, the tradition, and the people of our country with the world. In the end, I would like to thank the entire team of Salam Pakistan, Pakistan Information and Cultural Society of Sweden, Pakistan Embassy Sweden, Pakistan-Sweden Business Council to give me the opportunity to share my story with all of you today. We as Pakistanis invite all of you to visit our beautiful country and experience the hospitality and adventure that I guarantee you have never experienced before. I thank you all for joining me today. Assalamu alaikum.
Wow, that was one fascinating presentation. You really made me, respect my country a little more. So next time I visit Pakistan, I will definitely explore Sindh.
The northwestern province of Pakistan is Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, popular for its lush green landscapes, highest peaks, indigenous cultures, tasty food, and the Afghan border connecting the Central and South Asia. Khyber Pakhtunkhwa is Pakistan's third largest region by population. It is the country's tourism treasure chest and is fast becoming a destination of choice for domestic and foreign tourists. The province is well endowed with natural resources and shaped by the Hindu Kush and Himalaya mountains that offer stunning alpine landscapes, iconic wildlife, lush forests, numerous glaciers, and breathtaking lakes. With rich traditions, variety of languages, and the oldest civilizations of the world, this is the land of fresh fruits, rich minerals, natural habitat for wildlife, and much more to explore. This is Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. Here you will find the history, remains of ancient civilizations spread all over mountains, and timeless relics archived in museums across the province. It boasts sites of historical and religious significance that cover over 2,000 years of history, with Buddhist, Muslim, and Christian evidence of global importance, including 6,000 sites of Gandhara heritage, some of which have been excavated and restored by the KP Directorate of Archaeology and Museums, and are now accessible to tourists. Civilizations excelled here, paving the way for unique architecture and glorious art. Empires were built and ruined, but life went on as dignified as it could be. There are more than 20 archaeological sites as listed by UNESCO that will take you to the oldest way of living on this part of the world. Religions flourished here, and people enjoyed the freedom of worshiping and found spirituality all the way from their hearts and mind. The province used to welcome 50,000 international visitors per year before an almost decade-long conflict that finally ended in 2017. However, beginning in 2015, the numbers of domestic arrivals have led to a mushrooming of tourism ventures and activities that, if managed sustainably, can drive economic growth across many rural sections of the province. While visiting KP, one cannot resist to taste delicious traditional cuisines. From north to south, the province offers a variety for tasty and mouth-watering traditional food, like kebab, tikka, and mutton karahi are some of the famous dishes. While some traditional sweets like mardan amrasa, diai khan khawa are also famous. The wildlife enthusiasts find their parks here, where you are welcomed for tours, hiking expeditions, and hunting. Hundreds of species of birds and animals found across the province have become an attraction for local and foreign tourists. The province is also a sanctuary for some of the world's unique animals and birds that are not commonly found in other parts of the globe. Khyber Pakhtunkhwa is blessed with mesmerizing waterfalls and lakes, attracting hundreds and thousands of tourists every year. Being a vast region, the climate varies, encompassing many climate types found in Pakistan. The northern region is cold and snowy in winters with heavy rainfall, and pleasant in summers, whereas the plain areas are hot in summer, but pleasant in winter. The low numbers of international arrivals have been compensated by domestic tourism, which has been growing over the years. The total number of domestic tourisms in Pakistan during 2016 was 80 million, up from 46 million in 2009. Findings of a survey completed in 2018 show that 4.45 million tourists visit Galiat, Naran, Kalam, and Kumrat in 2018. Khyber Pakhtunkhwa is gifted with a natural ecology and land, fit to grow some fine quality fruits and vegetables. The province has a vast mountainous area, naturally conducive for growing precious quality of dry fruits like walnuts, pine nuts, and almonds. KP also produces sweet and delicious oranges, peaches, apples. Likewise, in plain areas, guava, citrus, strawberry, plums, apricot, and dates are abundantly produced. Hidden north of KP are the Kalasha Valleys in Chitral District, surrounded by the Hindu Kush mountain range. The inhabitants of the valley are the Kalash people, who have a unique culture, language, and follow a form of ancient Hinduism. As such, the Kalasha Valleys are a source of attraction for Pakistani as well as international tourists. The people of Kalash celebrate 3 festivals every year in spring, summer, and winter. Chilam Joshi Festival is one of the most vital Kalash festivals, also known as Kalash Spring Festival. The Kalash people celebrate this 4-day festival across all 3 Kalash valleys, and a large number of domestic and foreign tourists attend the Chalam Joshi festival every year. Apart from astonishing traditional sports, the king of games, polo, is played at one of the highest grounds of the world, Chandur, at an altitude of 12,500 feet. Every year, Chandur invites visitors to experience a traditional polo tournament between the teams of Chitral and Gilgit from the 7th to the 9th of July. The festival also includes folk music, folk dance, traditional sports, and a camping village is set up on the pass. This freestyle game between Chitral and Gilgit teams is witnessed by spectators coming from different parts of the world. Polo is an equestrian sport, with its origin embedded in Central Asia dating back to the 6th century BC. Another 2,000-year-old festival in Chitral is the Jashni Kaklasht, celebrated every year. The 4-day festival features traditional sports and cultural events of the surrounding local communities, organized at the flat green terrain near Boni in Upper Chitral. Khyber Pakhtunkhwa is likely to remain a preferred domestic destination, with its unrivaled natural and cultural attractions, and the population's newfound love of travel, spurred by a combination of the improved security situation and the promotional efforts of KP Department of Tourism, Sports, Culture and Youth Affairs. The Tourism Corporation KP, through their tourism promotional activities, has helped in reviving the spirit of tourism after a decade-long suffering in the province. The Tourism Corporation Khyber Pakhtunkhwa has set up camping pods at scenic spots in Swat, Kahan, Tandiani, and Shengla. The camping pods are unique, insulated wooden huts that enables the tourist to take in the marvelous sights in the wild from a comfortable, spacious, and safe accommodation with all the basic necessities that a person requires. The Sustainable Development Strategy of the province aims to provide a strategic direction to the development of KP's governance, social and economic sectors, economic revitalization, job creation, and tourism development are at the center of KP's development roadmap. The direct contribution of tourism and travel to Pakistan's GDP was $8.8 billion, which was 2.9% of GDP in 2017. During the same year, tourism and travel supported 3,894,000 direct and indirect jobs, 6.5% of the country's total employment. In 2017, tourism and travel investments in Pakistan made up 9.1% of total investments, a share that is projected to rise by 5.2% during 2018-19 in response to growing domestic tourism. Even in this era of industrialization, the traditional handicrafts produced in the province are still famous and liked by domestic and even foreign tourists while traveling here. Whether it's about footwear, clothes, decorative or consumable items, you will find them handcrafted by artisans who inherited their skills of ancient artistry from their ancestors. Khyber Pakhtunkhwa is expected to become one of the top tourist destinations in the world in the coming years. Only in 2018-19, thousands of national and international tourists visited and enjoyed the scenic beauty and cultural heritage of the province, and more are expected to visit in coming years. It is said that the world is a book, and those who don't travel only read one page. So turn the pages, explore nature at its best.
Our next speaker is a special one. She has spent 38 years of her life in serving Pakistan. Recently, she won President Award for Pride of Performance of her services to Pakistan. I would like to welcome Ms. Veni Lekardal.
My name is Veni Lekardal, and I have been working, I'm a nurse, and I live in Gothenburg in Sweden now. And I was born about 40 kilometers from here and grew up in what is called Ale nowadays. And then I went to nursing school. And from the beginning, I had my idea and thought that God wanted me to go to Asia to try to help other people and show that God loves everybody in the world. So after had been to England to get a better English and then being working in Sweden for some years. 5 years I worked here, 3.5 years I was in charge of medical and surgical wards at Sahlgrenska University Hospital. And then I went to Pakistan. And at that time, the cheapest way to get there was to go through Russia. So anyway, I had a friend with me who stayed in Pakistan for 2 years. But anyway, we went by train to Stockholm, boat to Helsingfors, train to Moscow, and then flight from Moscow to Tashkent, and then flight Tashkent to Kabul, and flight from Kabul to Peshawar, and then Peshawar to Rawalpindi. And in Rawalpindi, I stayed for a little more than 5 years, learning Urdu and working out in bastis with women, children, TB patients, together with a Finnish doctor. In 1976, I went to Christian Hospital in Sahiwal, and there I worked a lot in villages around around there. There are plenty of villages around in Sahiwal area. We went to school to teach children about hygiene. We sometimes gave medicine for all the different worms the children had. And the principal of the schools told us later when we came back that the boys, they took their worms who came out and took them back to school to measure who had the longest one. Anyway, I taught in the nursing school and I worked in the hospital, in a TB clinic, and helped with the nursing students. And then I moved to Christian Hospital, Taxila, 1981. And there I worked for 26.5 years. Worked with teaching, started courses for nurse assistant and practical nurses, and built up an antenatal clinic, a children's clinic with then EPI had come. So we had all the vaccinations of children. And the last 15 years over there, I was the nursing superintendent. Then I worked in the church with children, what we call Sunday school, when they have their own little service, and with youth. And have been around in the villages too for the women, for pregnant women and for family planning. And I was very, very happy in Pakistan. I like Pakistan very much. It's a beautiful country and it has a lot of very, very nice people who always want you as a guest. They offer tea, they offer food. It's a really a fantastic country in many, many ways. And I was very, very happy there. the country was perhaps more open when I came in 1969, when it became later, when we perhaps could not always travel as we wanted. But now it seems to be easier again travel. And yeah, in August, the president told me or told that I was given this medal, Pride of Performance. I got very, very astonished. I never thought about anything like that. But I tried to go out now, although it was the pandemic. I was vaccinated and I wanted to be there and meet friends and anyway, come back to Pakistan, because Pakistan, as I worked there and lived there for 37 and a half years, for me, it is my second homeland. And I feel as much as home there as I feel here in Sweden. I came back 2007 to Sweden, and since then I've been translating for Tolkförmedling Väst for Urdu-speaking people. So I keep busy with that in these days. All the years I was in Pakistan, it was the Smyrna Church here in Gothenburg who was support for me. And I would recommend everybody which could to go to Pakistan to visit. Security point of view, I think nowadays, EU says that families can live there, so our embassy people who have been very much involved with this. It was really the former ambassador who really initiated this together with the hospital, that I would get this award. And it is a fantastic country to visit. You know, it's everything from K2 down to where nothing grows. So it's a beautiful country. It has the most fantastic views, and it has quite a lot of good roads. There are flights, there are other things. So it's quite easy to get around. There are though 220 million people nowadays. When I came to Pakistan, it wasn't even a fourth of it. When I came, Bangladesh too was a part of Pakistan. But of course, that already in the 70s was changed. But I think the population was around a fourth of it is today. So there are plenty of people, plenty of young people. And it's a nice country to travel in. And there are areas where the UD or Foreign Office will say one should not go to. And I guess that is true. So if one keeps to the places where they say you can go, that's fine. And I think everyone who goes there really are very happy with it and likes it and talks about it. I have friends who worked at the Kaidias University in the 70s and in the 80s, some years, and they will never forget Pakistan. We always talk Pakistan when we meet. It's really a very nice country. There are a lot of needs in Pakistan because there is such a lot of population, and it's difficult to get schools for everybody and so on. So there are a lot of things to do. And on the medical care side too, there are lots needs, and it's quite difficult with such a big population for the government to really manage it well. But there are more or less everything is possible in Pakistan, and they always find ways to do things. Even in some way, they know how to use the little they have to do very practical things. So I would recommend Pakistan to everybody.
Thank you so much, Miss Penny.
Thank
We are
you.
proud of you. Thank you for your part in Salam, Pakistan. Now I would like to welcome CEO and founder of Cleantech. He tries to capture growth in the cleantech industry of Pakistan. Mr. Lars Ling, please share your travel journey of Pakistan with us.
Hi everyone, I'm Lars, Swedish entrepreneur living in London, and I'm delighted to share my perspectives on the experiences and travel to Pakistan. I'm fortunate to visit. It's one time, so I'm really looking forward to come back. And I visited Pakistan in 2015, and it was to learn about the textile industry and how they are actually running the industries, and how we can transform from fossil fuel to renewable fuels. So we arrived to Islamabad late evening, and I was picked up by my host, and that was quite an experience of smells, people. It was a strong experience arriving for the first time to Islamabad. So we spent a few days, visited the mosque, Faisalabad Mosque in Pakistan, and all the really sceneries and the natures and the viewpoints of Islamabad. We also visited a lot of the chamber trades, which was, it was really welcoming for me. Then we traveled to Faisalabad to visit some of the major textile industries to learn more about how they can actually transform from fossil fuel coal to solar energy. After that visits, we actually went down to Lahore, and Lahore was the shortest stay of this journey. I would like to spend more time in Lahore, but I do look forward to be able to come back at some point. On the other hand, I was really positive experience of the nature, and Pakistan is the land of pure. So that was the most impression on me. Secondly, of course, there's a lot more, this humongous amount of people than compared to me being Swedish. So that was kind of big impressions of food, spices, people, all these things, and new impressions for me. After in Lahore, we then drove back and ended up coming back to Islamabad. And from that now, some results coming out of this. I have hosted delegations from Pakistan to Sweden to look at collaborations in the renewable energy sector. And that is something I'm really curious to further explore, and 2 more upcoming visits in Pakistan. And that kind of sums it up a little from my experience. And I would like to send the best of regards to Salam Pakistan and to every listeners participating in this. And absolutely recommend you to book your trip to Pakistan. And when we're coming out of this situation, I'm in a COVID-safe place right now in the forest in Sweden. I'm looking forward to meet you all in Pakistan, in some other cities. I haven't experienced Karachi, but I hear a lot about, so I really would like to go there as well. So with that, thank you so much for me. I'm Lars, a Swedish entrepreneur. Been one time in Pakistan, but it was an appetite for more. Thank you so much. Goodbye.
Thank you, Mr. Lars, and we hope to inspire each other vision of sustainability. Now I would like to welcome Mr. Anders Hulten. He is an educational professional with 25 years of experience. He has served as a political advisor to the Swedish Ministry of School. He even ran a school in Lahore. Wow. Let us hear from him.
Hi, I'm Anders Hultin. I'm a Swedish entrepreneur involved in education. We are educating almost 4,000 students in Sweden every day. And since 2016, we are also involved in education in Pakistan. My journey to Pakistan has always been pleasant and nice. There were, to be honest, some people here in Sweden being surprised when I told them I'm going to Pakistan and so on, but and many of them felt maybe that security might be an issue there. but I have always felt very safe in Pakistan. I've been to Lahore, Karachi, Islamabad, Faisalabad, but I also spent some time in the countryside and always met very nice people, and I always felt very safe. You know, I love Pakistani food, and I have found some of my favorites. One is Dumba Karai. It's served in a special restaurant in Lahore, which I always go to when I'm there. And I love to pick up some biryani chicken at the main market. It's served in a ceramic pot and made over open fire, and it is really tasty. You know, I am not only from Scandinavia, but I also live in the north of Sweden. So for me, the heat in Pakistan can be a bit of a challenge. So I prefer to go to Pakistan from somewhere in October and maybe not stay longer than March or April. But then the weather is actually lovely. Yes, I was invited by friends to visit the walled city in Lahore, which was an amazing place, very long history, and a lot of people. It's a vibrant place. And we visited the Lahore fort and the mosque next to it, and that was a really lovely day, and I really want to go back there. My message to international travels is quite easy. It's go there and experience one country that is really big and represents so many things, and it's really worth going there. So that would be my and to PICS I would like to say that it's great that you organize events that can open the eyes in Sweden for Pakistan. We really need more of those events, so thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your input. We hope to have 21st century pedagogy into practice.
Last but certainly not the least, let us welcome Miss Eva Dunder. She is a singer and musician, and recently she went on a musical adventure to Pakistan. And actually she is in Pakistan right now. So let's hear from her.
Hello everyone, I'm Eva Dunder and I'm from Sweden. I live in the north of Sweden, but also I'm in a lot in Stockholm. And I'm here, I'm very honored to be here and be one of the speakers of this event. I'm very grateful for that. And I'm here because I just been to Pakistan for about a month. And it was an amazing experience that I wish everyone could enjoy sometime in their life. I had no expectations at all of how it would be, how Pakistan would be, because I didn't know so much about it. But one thing, I had a feeling that for sure it's much more than the media have shown. I went to Pakistan because I am in a music project that is called SoundQuest. Yeah, you can find us everywhere on Instagram, SoundQuest. And we went to Pakistan. We are a group of 6 people, 6 musicians and DJs. We went there because, for many reasons. The group leader, he's from Pakistan. He's a famous DJ, but he has been living in Sweden 7 years. So he had a wish and an intention to go to Pakistan to show us Swedes how Pakistan is, and also to show the world that Pakistan is so much more than the media has shown. So we went there. We were there the whole of March on a musical journey to explore Pakistan and to explore the music of Pakistan and the culture and the people, the food, everything. So we went, And we were I'm so happy that we went, because we met so many beautiful people. Everyone we met was had such a hospitality. They welcomed us with open arms and with an open heart and with smiles. And it feels like many Pakistani have this in common, that really want to show the world that Pakistan is a great people and a great country, and it truly and really is. We have been to these amazing places and events. We have met beautiful artists and singers. So we actually did collaboration with 4 Pakistani singers. Very famous, very skilled, talented singers that we have made a collaboration. We have been in the studio together, both in Lahore and in Islamabad. We went in the studio to create music. Our mission was we have this electronic dance pop music, and we put this traditional Pakistani Urdu song combined with me as a singer. I sing all kinds of songs, but in some songs I have Swedish folk songs, and we have a guitar, and I play the flute. And this combination is a fusion that is very new and very fresh. So in some time we will release an album and music video with these collaborations, and it was an amazing experience. And we also done a lot of jamming with people we met with traditional instruments like the rabab. I play the flute with them, and it feels like the music is so big in Pakistan that there's a difference from Sweden, that they appreciate the music so much. So we went due to the pandemic. The circumstances are what they are, but we managed to play a few times. With small audience and private events and a wedding. It was beautiful to share this experience with people. Also, the trip where we were in Lahore and we went to Islamabad, and then we went up to Swat Valley in the mountains. I wish I could have been to more places, but for sure we will come back. And everywhere we went, it was amazing. I was so impressed by the infrastructure. Both Lahore and Islamabad and how clean it is and how things work. Of course, it's very different from Sweden. You drive on a different side, and it's a little bit more chaotic in traffic, but it feels like it's a good flow, and that it's very alive. And I love this aliveness that is in the country. That is not too structured, not too modern, it's not too new, it's just perfect. And combined with this beautiful nature, I've seen more pictures of like Hunza Valley and other places I wish to go to, but the Swat Valley was amazing. I could feel like this feeling of home. As in Sweden, we have mountains and forests like that, but it was different. So we went up on the top of a mountain, recorded a music video. It was still snow, and it was so beautiful. And we have, and the food you have is so amazing. Unfortunately, I could not eat all because I'm a vegetarian, but like the Pakistani omelette you have is wonderful. All the fruits and vegetables, they taste so much. You can really feel that they are grown nearby, and so lovely. And like to be able to get this fresh juice, and for good affordable prices. So and the samosas I love, like the chickpeas, the potato and the sauce, lovely. So I already miss that food. But like the biggest impression is all the all the smiles and all the happiness and joy that I experienced with all these people. People are very open and very, it feels like both us Swedes and people in Pakistan, we want this. We want to have more exchange. We want to learn from each other. So I'm happy to be here today, and that PICS is doing this as well to show a different side and different picture of Pakistan, because it's so needed. Pakistan is a wonderful country, and it's so peaceful. Of course, not everywhere, but it's very peaceful and safe. So I hope that this helps the world to see it. And it's such an alive culture, I think. With all these markets and all this food and all this music. Yeah, the culture it's amazing. Yeah, we'll do this collaboration with SoundQuest, and we'll continue to do it as much as we can to share this beautiful music and the beautiful energy of Pakistan. So thank you, PICS, for doing this beautiful work. And we also went to the Swedish embassy when we were there in Islamabad. And we connected very well, because they see that we're doing the same things that they do. We want to strengthen the communication and the collaboration between Sweden and Pakistan, to have it more, to show the world what is this. So this is the beginning, and I hope it will be a beautiful journey, and I'm sure it will be. So thank you everyone for listening, and thank you that I could share my experience and view, and thank you, PICS, for this.
Thank you so much, Miss Eva, for sharing your experience with us and recognizing the talent of Pakistan. This brings an end to the very informative and inspiring live session given by our speakers. Let us thank them by a huge round of applause. We hope that you now have a better idea of Pakistan through this event. As we say in Urdu, phir milte hain. It means we hope to see you again next year in Salam, Pakistan.